Hey everyone, it's Hayes, and today's very quick video. Hopefully it'll be quick because I need to edit this before I go to bed. We're going to be doing theories of both Queen of the Dread Zone and the Dirtifiers, which at the time of you hopefully seeing this will be both airing tomorrow. So we've got to do this today because it's over tomorrow. It's the only time I have to do this. We're going to start with Queen of the Dread Zone though, since that's the only one at the minute of me recording this we have the trailer for. So let's start with this one. And honestly, perhaps it's my pessimism, but I'm expecting this episode to end badly for Chloe. I am not expecting a redemption arc. It doesn't seem that Thomas and the larger team want to do that with her. I've accepted that. I don't particularly agree with the decision, but whatever. And I feel like they're just going to butcher her character. But I can't really do anything about it, obviously. But as a result, I am kind of going into this episode feeling a little bit unsure about how they're going to handle the storytelling, but I think it's fairly obvious. Chloe is back in Paris, perhaps for some sort of like job sort of thing, some sort of work. I don't mean like child labour, I mean as basically like an influencer sort of thing. Hence why there's all like the blimps around celebrating her arrival and she arrives by helicopter and stuff like that. And for some reason during this trip she's like, hey, I'll go to my old high school and say hi to everyone who hates me. Okay. From the synopsis, we know Marinette thinks Chloe hasn't changed. Judging by Zoe's facial expressions, I would think Zoe is in agreement with that. However, Sabrina is a bit more like, maybe she has changed. Now, from my perspective, I'm just like, Sabrina, what are you doing? She was horrible to you. You realise she was horrible to you at the end of season 5. She's been horrible to you while she's been away in London during this season. Are you insane? Like, why? Why would you think she's changed? However, Sabrina has been Chloe's henchwoman, I guess, lackey, whatever phrase you want to call it, for at least over a year in the terms of the Miraculous timeline. Obviously for us it's been a lot longer. So I would assume she has some sort of kind of like, I guess like some sort of toxic attachment to Chloe, where she wants to see the best in her, because I do believe that during their... Well, to Sabrina, it was a friendship, but to Chloe, it obviously wasn't. She was just using Sabrina. But during this, I guess, one-sided friendship, I do genuinely believe that Sabrina did love Chloe as a friend, and she would want to see the best in her. So if Chloe comes back to Paris being like, hey, I'm a good person now, I do think, considering the kind of person Sabrina is, I do think she would believe her. I think she's wrong, but I do think Sabrina would believe her. However, perhaps other people don't, or maybe Chloe is trying to like keep up this front, trying to be a good person, but it's just, you know, not happening because people keep annoying her during whatever this work she's in Paris to do, and she ends up getting akumatized into the Queen of the Dread Zone. I said this in my trailer analysis, I think it's pretty self-explanatory. It looks a bit like Lady Chaos, where there's like this surrounding area, this yellow area of dread, and if you walk into it / touch Chloe, you become infected with the dread. Now, I'm not sure if this is literally just going to be like a physical feeling of dread, or if they're going to, kind of a bit like in Revelator, see something in their head of like, this is the thing they dread. So for Adrian, his dad, Marinette, also Adrian's dad, we're all scared of the same person. So I don't know if it's going to be like that, or just literally, you feel dread for basically no reason. I think it would work either way. Be more interesting to see if it's all about Gabriel though. Everyone's scared of him. Fair enough. But Ladybug and Cat Noir both get infected. We can kind of see here they're both like cowering away from Chloe. So Marinette's like, I can't do this. It's time for reinforcements. And she calls in Vesperia and Miss Hound. Now, we don't see Miss Hound in the trailer, but I think Miss Hound will be the one to stop this, because I think Vesperia, we see the Queen of the Dread Zone chasing her in the trailer. I think Vesperia is going to be like, as Vesperia, I can't do this, I can't face my sister, I can't do what I need to do to take Chloe down. I need to de-transform and transform into the Vigilante Fury. And we'll do battle like that, which I'm going to be very excited to see if that does happen. However, if Fury's going to be in battle, I think Ladybug will see that, and even though she's going to be scared, she's going to be like, okay, I am unsure what to do here. I think Ladybug seeing Fury, she's going to be really conflicted, because on one hand, that's not the reason she gave that person the Miraculous. That's a complete abuse of the Miraculous. It's meant to help people, not to do this. However, at the same time, Chloe has tormented Marinette for like 2 years of her life. Should she let Zoe do this? I think she's going to have a bit of a moral dilemma here. So I'm not actually sure if by the end of the episode Marinette will demand the Miraculous back or will work out it's Zoe. I'm not sure, but I'm really intrigued to see how it will go. However, assuming Chloe is pretending to be a good person, I do think the episode end card is either going to be revealing her to be working with Lila, revealing her to be working with the council, or revealing her to being friends with Ray, Nelson and Loic. Or maybe a mix of all three. However, I hope there is like a bigger picture going on. Again, I don't have much faith in the writers in terms of Chloe and her actually getting something good, but it would be interesting to perhaps explore what Chloe dreads, as in her mother, perhaps her half-brother Noe. I'm assuming he's her half-brother. Andre's never said he has another child, but Andre's also a terrible father, so perhaps he does, and he just never mentioned him. But I'm interested to see what his relationship with Chloe is like, since Noe and Chloe do seem more similar than Chloe and Zoe are. But perhaps she also dreads him. Does she dread something else entirely? That would be super interesting to see. And also I'd like to see if it is something to do with the council, if she is being manipulated. I feel like a lot of, whether the writers intended this or not, it's kind of difficult to say with Chloe because of the way they feel about her. But that I would say that she was definitely being manipulated towards the end of season 5, where she kind of, honestly, in my opinion, became like a bit of a scapegoat for everything Gabriel was doing. And she was blamed for a lot of stuff under the influence of Akuma's, when other people aren't held to the same standards, which is just another thing with Chloe. So, I'm not saying she needs to be redeemed, but I just struggle to have faith in the writers to see how this is going to go. So, yeah, I'm excited for it, but I'm also a little bit apprehensive. Now moving on to the Dirtifiers. And as of me recording this, we don't have a trailer, but please know, this video is due to go up at 2 PM, which is when I will be at work in the shop. Please know if a trailer comes out whilst I am at work in the shop, I will be stood at the till in the bookshop, silently crying, whilst I take transactions, okay? Please know that. So this theory video is done without the trailer having been released, but by the time you watch it, it may have indeed be released. So, the synopsis for this one. It starts talking about there being a sleepover full of surprises, so the only sleepover they've had this season is the one at the end of Daddy Cop, so I'm wondering, I know obviously it's episode 18, Daddy Cop was number 4, I'm pretty sure. We know it's not in order. It could be totally wrong, it could open the episode with a brand new sleepover, completely different, completely separate to the one in Daddy Cop, but whatever, one of those things. However, Kagami, for whatever reason, after a sleepover, I'm not sure what these surprises could be if it's not the Daddy Cop one, Kagami basically disappears. So, as we know, she is at school with them, so I'm assuming she stops going to school. So the girls decide to investigate, and they rock up at her house, and you can see all of them in basically like the peephole camera sort of thing. They set out to find her, but are quickly interrupted by the arrival of supervillains. Well, Ladybug managed to defeat the Dirtifiers and find Kagami. It kind of reads a bit like Kagami's been kidnapped slightly, so what I'm thinking is possibly is that obviously in Yakusai Gozen, Lila very briefly took Kagami's ring, took Kagami's amok from Felix. So did Lila do something with it that we didn't see? Perhaps? So, because it kind of sounds like Kagami's been kidnapped, you know what I mean? So has she maybe forced Kagami to do something? That would be very interesting. So I'm not really sure there. As for the identity of the Dirtifiers, again, I don't really have much to go off. I'm kind of thinking Ray, Nelson and Loic. However, if it is them, what have they got to do with Kagami's amok? I wouldn't have said anything, because as far as I'm aware, none of them know what an amok even is. So if it is them, because obviously it's plural, so I'm assuming it's more than one person akumatized here, I would assume they would know about the amok, assuming it is the amok. I don't know, it's difficult. I'm hoping that by the time I finish work, the trailer will be out, and I will have more thoughts. But as of right now, of me recording and editing this, the trailer is not out. And yes, I will cry in the bookshop if it comes out whilst I am working and not on my lunch break. But anyway, besties, that's just what I think right now. I'm more confident, obviously, about Queen of the DREADZONE since we have the trailer and I only have a singular image and a synopsis for the Dirtifiers. And one final thought for Queen of the Dread Zone. In the image released with the synopsis, we see Sabrina, Marinette and Zoe talking, but it looks like they are being recorded. So I think this is possibly another piece of evidence to show that Chloe, because it's on B Network, it's logged in on the B Network, shows that Chloe still isn't being a good person. But anyway, besties, that's just what I think. I'd love to know what the rest of you think, and I will see you in the next one.